The midday sun blazed on Rosewood Botanical Gardens in Los Angeles, cutting through the usual hum of conversation with an unbearable tension. Elias Vance, 38, a prominent black architect, stood frozen by the fountain. His heart swelled with pride watching his son, Liam, 18, clutching his college acceptance. This was Liam's day, until the shadow of Elias's wife, Seraphina Vance, 40, a renowned white art curator, loomed. Seraphina had been distant for months, her sapphire eyes perpetually chill. Now, as families gathered for photos, she stepped forward in a crimson dress that screamed defiance. Beside her stood Chen Wei, 42, a tech mogul whose platinum hair gleamed, his lips curled in a smug arc. "Elias," Seraphina's voice sliced through the chatter. "You thought you could control me forever with your money and connections, but I'm done." The words landed like a thunderclap. The crowd froze. Liam, laughing moments before, turned, his letter slipping. Elias felt 100 eyes, but he stood taller, chin lifting. Chen, emboldened, stepped closer. "He deserves someone who matches his ambition," he sneered. "Not a show-off like you, parading your wealth to keep him in line." Liam rushed to Elias. "Dad, what's happening?" Elias squeezed Liam's hand. "Stay calm, son." He turned to Seraphina, his gaze making her falter. "Seraphina, today is Liam's day. If you want to air grievances, pick another stage." The crowd murmured. Seraphina laughed, sharp and grating. "Don't play the saint, Elias. You've always looked down on me, the art expert married to the great Elias Vance, king of Vance Designs. I'm tired of living in your shadow." Liam's eyes filled. "Mom, how could you do this?" Elias gently pulled Liam back. "You've made your point. Now leave before you embarrass yourself further." Seraphina hooked her arm through Chen's, a triumphant smile on her face. But Elias's lips curved into the faintest of smiles, a glimmer of something unreadable. "We'll see about that," he said, his voice so calm it sent a shiver through the onlookers. As Elias led Liam away, Seraphina and Chen stood isolated, disapproved stares pressing in. As they reached a quiet corner, Liam's shoulders shook. "Why, Dad? Why would she do this?" Elias knelt. "Because she's lost herself, but we haven't. We're stronger than this, I promise you." Liam nodded. "I want to go home with you. No party, just us." Elias's heart ached, but he agreed. As they drove, Elias's mind raced, not with pain, but with the knowledge he'd kept hidden, the evidence of her affair, the financial maneuvers he'd thwarted, the legal fortress he'd built. Seraphina thought she'd struck a fatal blow, but she had no idea the battle had already begun, and Elias was playing to win. 18 months before the confrontation, Elias sat alone in his penthouse office. He was the formidable CEO of Vance Designs. But tonight, his empire felt distant, overshadowed by a single searing image, a text on Seraphina's phone. "Tomorrow, Beverly Wilshire room 705. Don't let him suspect. Sender, Chen." Elias snapped a photo and sent it to Marcus, his divorce attorney. "Marcus," Elias typed, "I need you. Call me now." Marcus's voice was crisp. "Elias, what's happened?" Elias recounted the message. "I think she's cheating, and I need to protect myself and Liam." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Meet me tomorrow. Bring everything, bank statements, your prenup." The prenup, drafted by his late father, a legal titan, was Elias's first line of defense. It included a fidelity clause, adultery forfeited claims to premarital assets. Seraphina had signed it dismissively, never imagining she'd test its teeth. Over the next weeks, Elias became a shadow detective. He hired a discreet financial analyst who uncovered suspicious transfers to an unknown account. "She's building a nest egg," the analyst grimly confirmed. Elias cross-referenced Seraphina's gallery trips with hotel records, finding bookings at the Beverly Wilshire coinciding with her lies. Marcus's team identified Chen Wei. Photos surfaced of Chen and Seraphina at galas, their intimacy undeniable. Each image was a dagger, but Elias didn't flinch. He catalogued them. "She's not just cheating," Marcus confirmed. "She's positioning herself, betting on taking a piece of Vance designs." Elias's eyes narrowed. "She'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands." "Then we activate the prenup's protections," Marcus advised. "Move your assets to accounts she can't touch. Document everything." Elias transferred his Vance Designs shares to a trust Liam would inherit. He opened new accounts, funneling millions in personal investments out of their joint reach. At home, Elias played the devoted husband. He cooked Seraphina's favorite meals, laughed at her jokes, and planned a lavish birthday party. Guests marveled at their perfect marriage, unaware that Elias's every smile was a mask. Seraphina, oblivious, basked in the attention. "You're too good to me, babe," she'd said, the faint scent of Chen's cologne on her collar. Elias noted everything in a private journal. Her journal wasn't just a record, it was a weapon. By Liam's graduation, Elias was a general in a silent war, his arsenal ready. He made a final call to Marcus. "It's almost time." "She's going to make her move soon." Marcus's response, "Let her. We've got everything we need to bury her." Elias hung up, a portrait of resolve. Seraphina thought she was playing him, but she was the pawn, and Elias was ready to checkmate. The courtroom in downtown LA was a crucible of anticipation. Elias sat ramrod straight. It had been a month since Seraphina's public betrayal. Today, Elias was ready to draw blood with the cold, unyielding precision of law. Liam, 18, sat behind him. Seraphina, 40, slouched at the defendant's table. Chen Wei was absent. "Vance versus Vance," the judge announced. Marcus rose. "Your Honor, we're here to enforce a prenuptial agreement signed 15 years ago. Miss Vance's infidelity, documented extensively, triggers a fidelity clause barring her from claiming my client's premarital assets." Marcus's voice was precise. He presented the prenup and its highlighted fidelity clause. Marcus then unveiled Elias's arsenal, a binder thick with evidence. Screenshots of Seraphina's texts to Chen, hotel receipts, photos, bank records showing 50. Zero siphoned from joint accounts to a secret one. The courtroom stirred. Liam's eyes burned with pain and pride. Seraphina shifted. Her lawyer, Harold Vance, argued the prenup was signed under duress and transfers were legitimate business expenses. "Objection," Marcus countered. The prenup was signed willingly, notarized and reaffirmed. Ms. Vance signed the latest renewal 3 years ago with no objection. He produced the renewals. As for the transfers, they were made to an account Miss Vance opened without my client's knowledge, coinciding with her affair. Hardly business expenses. The judge's eyes narrowed. Marcus turned to Elias. "Mr. Vance, please confirm the timeline of your discoveries." Elias rose, his voice clear. 18 months ago, I found a message on my wife's phone confirming an affair with Chen Wei. I began documenting her actions, texts, receipts, transfers to protect myself and our son. I moved my assets to secure accounts, as advised by counsel, to ensure she couldn't access what was legally mine. Seraphina's face flushed. "That's a lie," she blurted. Elias sat, his gaze never leaving Seraphina. Liam's hand reached for his under the table. The judge returned her ruling swiftly. "The prenup is valid and enforceable. Miss Vance's infidelity, substantiated by evidence, nullifies her claim to Mr. Vance's premarital assets." The joint accounts remained frozen. The gavel fell, Elias's victory confirmed. Seraphina's shoulders slumped. Elias felt no joy, only cold satisfaction. As they left, reporters swarmed. "Mr. Vance, any comment?" Elias's voice was steady. "Justice was served. My focus is my son and my work." That night in their new villa, Elias and Liam celebrated quietly. Liam, his spirits lifting, spoke of college plans. "You're my hero, Dad," he said. Elias's heart swelled. Across town, Seraphina sat in Chen's mansion, her silence louder than any argument. The anonymous email Elias had sent was working its poison, and Seraphina's world was shrinking. The Buckhead mansion glowed like a jewel. Inside, Seraphina Vance stood by the bar, her crimson nails tapping. Her eyes, once warm with adoration for Chen, now held a cold scrutiny sharpened by Elias's anonymous email. The message detailing Seraphina's secret siphoning of 50 had burrowed into Chen's mind. "Seraphina," Chen said, voice low, "you never explained that offshore account, the one you claimed was for investments. Care to try again?" Seraphina's grip tightened. She forced a laugh. "Babe, I told you it was a crypto deal. Why are we rehashing this?" But her eyes darted. Chen stepped closer. "Because I don't like being lied to. You said you had resources, but all I see is a woman living off my dime with nothing to show for it." Seraphina's face flushed. She'd lost everything in the legal battle with Elias. Her claim to Vance Designs, their joint accounts, her job. She'd moved into Chen's mansion expecting luxury, but his patience was thinning. The email had planted doubt. "I checked the records, Seraphina." Chen slammed his glass down. "Those transfers weren't for crypto. They came from your husband's accounts, money you had no right to touch." "Were you playing me? Using me to bankroll your escape?" Seraphina stood, hands raised. "That's insane, Chen. Elias is twisting things." Chen's laugh was sharp. "Twisting? You lost your job, your money, your son, all on your own. Thought you were a partner, not a parasite." Seraphina's face crumpled. "I gave up everything for you," she said. "My family, my life, and now you're turning on me." "You gave up nothing," Chen shot back. "You traded a king for a fantasy, and now you're surprised it's falling apart. Get out, Seraphina, I'm done." He pointed to the door. Seraphina froze, stumbled out, the door slamming behind her. She stood on the driveway. She pulled out her phone, dialing Liam, her last lifeline. "Liam, it's Mom," she said, voice thick with desperation. "I need to see you. I messed up, but you're all I have left." Liam, in his villa bedroom, held firm. "Mom," he said, steady, "you chose Chen over us. You humiliated Dad, hurt me. I'm not ready to see you. I need time." He hung up, hands trembling, and ran to Elias, collapsing into his father's arms. "I told her no," he whispered. Elias held him tightly. "You did what's right for you, son. I'm here, always." The Atlanta dusk painted the sky. Seraphina Vance, 42, slumped on a sagging couch in her cramped studio apartment. The room reeked of stale coffee and despair, a stark contrast to Chen's mansion. Her once confident charm had eroded, her face lined with the weight of 2 years' worth of losses, her marriage, her son, her job, her dreams. The sting of Elias Vance's triumph blazed across a Forbes magazine cover on her coffee table. Elias Vance, the design mogul redefining resilience. The photo captured Elias, 39, radiant, beside Liam, 20. Seraphina's fingers traced the image, her throat tightening. 2 years ago, she'd cast Elias aside, believing she'd seize a glittering future. Now that future was ash, and regret was her only companion. She reached for a half-empty bottle of cheap wine. Her phone, cracked, lay silent, no calls from Chen, no messages from Liam. Her job prospects had dried up. She scraped by on freelance gigs. Seraphina's eyes drifted to a crumpled letter she'd drafted to Elias. I was a fool. She'd written, "You were everything, and I threw it away for nothing. Please let me make amends." She'd mailed it a week ago, a last-ditch hope. Across town, in their suburban villa, Elias sat at his dining table, surrounded by papers for the Liam Scholars Fund's expansion. Liam, home for the weekend, recounted a robotics project. Elias watched his son shine. His own success, Vance Design's global partnerships, and the fund's impact served as backdrop. A courier delivered mail, including Seraphina's letter. Elias's fingers paused. Liam glanced at it. "Is that from Mom?" he asked. Elias nodded, setting it aside. "It is, but it can wait." Liam's eyes searched his father's face. "Are you going to read it?" Elias's smile was faint but firm. "Maybe, but her words don't change our future." Later, Elias opened the letter. Seraphina's scrawl spilled across the page, a litany of regret and self-pity. "I see you on Forbes thriving, and it kills me," she wrote. "I thought I'd be the one to soar, but I was nothing without you." Elias's lips pressed into a thin line. Her remorse felt hollow, a plea born of consequence, not change. He folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer. "I don't need your apologies," he murmured. "I've built my happiness." His phone buzzed, a text from Marcus, the film producer he'd been seeing. "Saw you in Forbes. Proud of you, King. Dinner tomorrow?" Elias's smile softened. Marcus was a new chapter. He typed back, "Can't wait," his heart light. Seraphina's letter was a ghost, irrelevant. Back in her apartment, Seraphina stared at the ceiling. She'd called Liam earlier, begging. "I'm not ready, Mom," he'd said. She thought of Elias's Forbes cover, of Liam's proud smile, and realized they'd moved on. Her arrogance had been her undoing. He hadn't needed to fight her. He'd simply let her lies collapse. Elias stepped onto the villa's patio, mind clear. The Liam Scholars Fund thrived. Vance Designs broke records. Liam thrived. Elias felt no triumph over Seraphina's downfall, only a quiet certainty he'd done what was necessary. Seraphina walked to her window, the city's distant lights mocking her isolation. She thought of the botanical garden, her cruel words. She'd believed she was seizing freedom, but forged chains. Chen's rejection, Liam's distance, Elias's untouchable success, mirrors reflecting her failure. She clutched the wine bottle. "What have I done?" she whispered. Elias, gazing at the stars, felt a peace he'd earned. Seraphina's regret was a footnote. He'd faced her betrayal, outsmarted her, and built a life richer than she could imagine. Liam's laughter drifted from the house. Elias raised his glass to the night, a silent toast to his strength, his son, and the future they'd shaped together. Seraphina's regret was too late. Her voice was drowned by the roar of his triumph. The war was over, and Elias had won, not with vengeance but with vision.